there's a chance that the car is going to stall. These are the mistakes you're making as a new driver, and I'm going to show you how to avoid them. Let's go. This is one mistake that every learner does when they first start learning to drive, and that is bringing the clutch up too fast. So when they start moving off, they'll bring the clutch up like that, and then they stall. And then they think, oh, what's wrong? What happened? And they'll do it again. They'll stall. If you bring the clutch up too fast, it's not going to work. You need to bring it up smoothly. And the secret to this is counting to 3 in your head or counting to 3 out loud. Even out loud is fine as well. So I'll show you what I mean. Once I get the car moving, I'm going to count to 3 and release the clutch slowly as I count to 3. So 1, 2, 3. That way I come off. You see? It took me a while to move, but it's much better than rushing and trying to move off fast and then stalling, because that will take much longer. Once you do that a few times and you count in your head, it just becomes natural after that, and then you won't stall again. So right now you probably don't realize it, but we're actually on a hill, and this is something that learners struggle with as well, realizing whether they're on a hill or not. And when they try to move off, let's say now I try to move off, they're gonna roll backwards because you're on a hill. So the wrong way that a lot of learners do is try to move off when the clutch is still down, and then the car rolls back first, and then they go forward. The car moves back a bit because you're on a hill. So to avoid rolling back in the first place, this works every single time, whether you're on a flat road, whether you're on a really steep hill, or whether you're on a slight slope. And the key is to get in the biting point first, and then once you get the biting point, off the brake, and then bring the clutch up smoothly. Now, somebody asked in the comments, how do you know when you've got the biting point, or what is the biting point? The biting point is basically when you bring the clutch up to a certain level, to the level that the car's trying to move forward now, but it's not moving forward because the handbrake's on or the brake is on. So you can feel the biting point in this car by the vibration. So like now, if I bring the clutch up to about this point here, now I know I've got the biting point because I can feel the car vibrating, and the revs on the rev meter go up a bit as well to 1000. That way I know I've got enough. If I let go of the brake now, the car shouldn't roll backwards. It might start going forward, or it might just stay still because it might be just enough for it to stay still. And if it's not going forward enough, then I bring it up a tiny bit more, and then now it can start going forward, but not too high up. One of the things that I see a lot of new drivers do is not turning enough. They don't realize how much the steering wheel can turn. So let me go into this left turn here. So I'm going to check my mirror and signal left. And what they'll do is they'll just do a small turn like this, hoping that the car's going to turn correctly. But you look, see, I'm going super wide on the wrong side of the road, and that's not how you do it, because the steering wheel needs to turn a lot more than that for it to work properly. If you turn like that, you might end up going the wrong side of the road. So I'm going to show you how to do it properly. I'll show you how to do it properly now. So I'll do from here, once I get here, I'll do one turn. And you see that way, I'm on my side of the road, and it's not going to be on the wrong side, and it's going to work properly. Don't forget to keep your arms moving. A mistake you don't want to do is when you're turning to lock your arms, so a lot of people when they're turning, let's say we're turning into this, they'll do like this, and then the arms are locked, and you see the car's not turning anymore. Instead of locking your arms like that, keep your hands moving. So like this. So into this turn here, when I turn into this right, I'm going to keep my hands moving. You see, look, keep my hands moving. I keep my hands moving. They're not locked. That way, I can turn a lot more than my arms would allow. Another mistake I see a lot of people do is braking really late. So let's say we're coming up to this traffic light here, we have to stop. But see, naturally I was going for the brake, but what a lot of learners do is they'll get somewhere around here, and then they'll start thinking about braking, and by then, you see, it's rough, it's not a smooth stop, and it's not a good way to brake. Instead of braking at the last second, you should start bringing the speed down really early and braking really early as well, especially on high speed roads. But even on these kind of roads, start braking early so that it's smooth, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So as I approach this junction here, it's a giveaway. I want to turn right at the end. I'm going to check my mirror, center mirror, right mirror, signal right, and I'm already braking for this road hump, and I'm going to keep my foot on the brake the whole time. You see, I haven't come off. I'm braking the whole time, braking my speed down, bringing my speed down, and then now by the time I get here, I'm already going really slowly. These cars are not thinking I'm going to jump into the road, because they can see by my speed that I've got everything under control. And all I have to do now is check the left and the right. Once it's safe, I can move out when I'm ready. So even for this turn here, I'm going to check my center, check my right, I'll signal right as well. I'm going to start braking early. So one, this person behind me knows what I'm doing as well, because I'm braking. And two, I've got my speed controlled. Then I can decide what gear I want. Yeah, and I can also see what's happening in the junction as well, because I've slowed the car down nice and early. If I slow down really late, it's going to be hard for me, and it's going to be harder for everyone around me to figure out what I'm trying to do. So the key there is to brake early. Another thing I see a lot of learners do is brake hard. So let's say I'm coming to a stop on this, just before that road hump over there. What learners will do is they'll brake, and then just before they come to a full stop, they'll brake even harder, and then that gives you that sharp jolt forward. It's not smooth for you, it's not smooth for the drivers around you, it's not smooth for you, it's not smooth for your it's not smooth for you, it's not smooth for you, it's not smooth for your passenger, or it's not smooth for your passengers. So to make it softer and to make the braking nice, what you need to do is come off the brake just before you come to a full stop. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to come to a stop at that giveaway line over there. So I'm going to turn left as well. So remember last time I braked really hard. So now I'm braking nice and early. And then I'll put my clutch down as well around here. And then just before I come to a full stop, I'm going to ease off the brake a tiny bit and then back on the brake again. So that way you don't get that nasty jolt forward. Yeah, so the key is to brake early, ease off a bit just before you come to a full stop, and then squeeze it down harder again once you've come to a full stop to make sure the car doesn't go anywhere. One mistake that a lot of learners do is the indicator. So let's say I've made this turn here, and let's say I want to cancel my signal, but then now it's indicating towards the right, and then they'll keep messing about with it like this because it's clicking, and you're gonna confuse people around you. You're gonna forget about your steering, and you're gonna mess up the drive as well. So once you've got the signal, once you've got the indicator in the middle like this, even if it clicks a little bit, just leave it alone, because you see it clicked 3 times there and then it stopped. What you don't want to do is keep playing around with it while you're trying to drive, because then you're gonna end up losing control, end up confusing people. So even if it clicks a bit, so like here, it stops after 3 clicks. Just leave it alone. As long as it's in the middle here, it's okay, it's gonna stop. On some cars, you can actually turn that feature off, so it only does 1 click. That makes it a lot easier for me. That's what I've done on my car. When I'm driving around with my learners, it only does 1 click. But if your car hasn't got that feature, just remember, it's gonna do 3 clicks and then it will stop. Don't keep playing with it, leave it alone. Now, I've taught hundreds of people to drive, and I think maybe about only 2 people that I've taught aren't scared or worried about people behind them. But lots of learners, for some reason, they worry too much about the people behind them, and they think, oh my God, I'm holding people up, I'm taking too long. So like in this junction situation, for instance, let's say I'm trying to come out of here and there's people behind me. I don't want to make a mistake of rushing to come out because this person's behind me. I'm not worrying about them. All I'm thinking about is who's got priority and when can I go. So right now I'm checking left, right, and only when I'm happy to go, I'll go. I'm not looking in this mirror even. So now that I can see that it's safe, then I can move. I'll check my mirror here when I'm turning, just to make sure no one's coming in from the side there. Apart from that, I'm not going to worry about what this guy is thinking behind me. And the worst thing you can do as well is look at them and look in their eyes, because a lot of the times they're not even thinking about you. They're just trying to do their journey. But then if you start analyzing their eyes and looking at their brain, or trying to look in their brain thinking about what they're thinking about, you're gonna stress yourself out. So to avoid all that, focus on what you need to do, which is concentrating on who's got priority and then looking for a safe gap. That way you're not going to make silly mistakes. So using the gas when you're moving off is going to save you in a lot of situations. Like here, I've done it without the gas. It was jerky, it wasn't that smooth, and I could have easily stalled there. It's kind of lazy to do it without the gas because it's one movement and you don't have to worry about using another foot to move off. But in the long run, it's not really going to help you because you're not learning how to move the car off fast. You're more likely to stall that way. So like here, for instance, if I just use the clutch by itself, it's jerky and I nearly stalled. But if I use the gas as well, it's going to be a lot smoother. Let me show you what I mean. So a bit of gas and then bring the clutch up to the biting point smoothly. That way it's really smooth, less likely to stall, and if I was in a situation where I had to go fast, I could move off fast easily. One thing that I see a lot of as well with my new learners is when they see an oncoming vehicle, instead of slowing down, what they do is they immediately turn left. It's like a reaction, almost like an instinct to move out the way of danger. So like this car, for instance, they'll just move left for no reason, instead of actually just thinking, if I've got space on the left, do I need to move over to the left? A lot of times you don't actually need to move over to the left. Sometimes you do, but if you don't just move out the left, or don't just move out the way for no reason. Think about it. I think a lot of learners don't realize they're actually doing it until you mention it. So when next time you go out for a drive, ask yourself, are you moving over to the left for no reason, just like an instinct, or are you actually thinking about it and then moving over? Another mistake I see a lot of learners do is using the clutch every time they press the brake. So let's say you're coming up to the speed bump, for instance. Instead of just using the brake by itself, they'll touch the brake a bit and then clutch all the way down. If they see something coming up ahead of them, straight away they press the clutch down. This is not good for control. This is coasting. The clutch should be used for when you're stopping fully, or when you're trying to change gears, or if you're trying to go really slowly and control the car with your clutch. Otherwise, you don't need to be pressing the clutch down like this every time you see something like in front of you. If you're in second gear or above, brake first and then clutch. So like here, for instance, for this speed bump, I just need to use my brake a little bit, and then once I'm done, I'll come off. I don't need to use the clutch here. But for this turn here, let's say I'm going to the left, mirror, I'll start braking, and now I'll use the clutch because I want to change gear. So I'll use the clutch now, and then I'll come off the clutch smoothly, so that way I can turn in first gear and the gear is engaged. I don't need to use my clutch there. Only for changing gears, not for slowing the car down. So if I'm in first gear as well, I can use my clutch first before I brake. So let's say I'm coming to a stop here, I'll clutch first and then brake. This is different because if I don't press my clutch down now, I'm going really slowly, the car will stall. Let me show you what I mean. So if right now I'm in first gear, if I brake first without the clutch, there's a chance that the car is going to stall because the revs went too low, and there's not enough. The revs went too low, the engine's not spinning fast enough, and suddenly it's going to stall. But if I'm going faster, let's say second gear speed, and I just use the brake by itself, the car will still be fine. It's not going to stall. So like around this sort of speed, if I just brake without touching the clutch, see, it's not a problem. When you will need the clutch is if you feel the car rumbling, that's when you're going to need the clutch. So if I slow down a lot, let's say I'm in second right now and I slow down loads, and then now the car starts rumbling, then I'll use my clutch, maybe go into first gear. Or even if let's say I was in second, then I felt the car rumbling, and let's say I braked a bit, and I know I want to go faster, I can just come off the brake, add some gas. Now I don't need to worry about pressing the clutch because the car's now fast enough for this gear. So another mistake I see a lot of learners do is going into a tight space like this and not slowing down. So like right now, I should be slowing down a bit because there's parked cars on this side, there's cars coming towards me, but for some reason a lot of learners ignore that. They just keep going like the road is still clear. You don't want to do that. So if you see that the road is getting a bit narrower, maybe because there's a bigger vehicle ahead of you, or there's now parked cars on both sides, you should slow down so that you can deal with the small gap properly.